Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Why? Too white? Never, never, never too white. All right, I have an article here coming from an Israeli military analyst who's going to tell us what he thinks about France and Germany in relation to Ukraine and Russia. Remember, this is a Israeli um, analyst. Zelensky is kosher. And remember that I would be an Romanian analyst to a Romanian president of Ukraine. Think a little bit of that. Now, keep in mind, I'm not trying to discard already the Israelis analyst's credentials just because he's a Jew as the other one. But let's see. We have this article from the New Voice of Ukraine from June 19th, 2022. Israeli military analyst calls Germany's and France's temporizing amid war in Ukraine disgusting. Why would you think? Let's see. He's going to provide us with the information. According to him, Ukraine is currently According to him, Ukraine is currently in, and I'm quoting, extremely difficult conditions, end quote, when it accepts any assistance, even diplomatic, right? After, I'm quoting again, after all, France is a nuclear state. What? What does that supposed to mean? After all, Israel is a nuclear state too. Oh, not legally. Where are you going with this? I don't know your name. So far, I don't see any name, but probably during this, we'll find out this. Oh, Levin. Levin. All right. After all, France is a nuclear state, one of the important states of the European Union and Europe and the world in general. That's why even such seemingly hypocritical support on the part of Macron is also deemed support. Well, Mr. Levin, I'm going to discuss with you later. Let me continue here. And I'm quoting, you can't pick and choose. Of course, diplomacy does not work that way. What? So far, they got two strikes in my head, two strikes. That's why we have to smile when we have to meet. We all have to talk together and so on, the analyst added. Levin believes this also applies to German Chancellor Olaf Scholz, who slowed down the transfer of 40 Leopard 2 tanks to Ukraine from Spain and the support of Marder infantry fighting vehicles. And I'm quoting again. Here again, they are watching where the scales tip. No, yeah. Now we see that Russia is trying to make a stand, concentrating all its forces in the Donbas, on the axis where we have Izium, Bakhmut, Lysychansk, and Severodonetsk. But there they are with colossal losses, barely gnawing out at every house in every village, said the military analyst. All right, at the same time, he stressed that Ukraine had not yet conducted a general military counteroffensive, because they can't. They were only of a tactical level, according to Levin. As soon as this happens, never, the Chancellor of Germany might offer Ukraine 100 Marder IFVs to side with the winners. True. I'm quoting again. So that letter, when it is diplomatically declared that Kherson has been liberated, Germany will claim that in particular with help. Now it is risky. They just sit on the fence and watch in which direction where the wind blows. Correct. And he said, that's all. It's disgusting, but it's politics, he added. German media reported that in recent months, Olaf Scholz's government has minimized arms supplies to the Ukraine, Die Welt reported, and only two small consignments of weapons arrived in Ukraine between March 30th and May 26th. After a visit to Ukraine in June 16th, together with the leaders of France and Italy and Romania, Scholz assured that Germany would hand over heavy weapons to Ukraine in time so that they could be used in the Battle of Donbas. Now, let's go to Mr. Levin. He says here, according to him, Ukraine is in extremely difficult conditions. For the wrong reasons, I'm bad, but they are. Okay, let's go. After all, France is a nuclear state. What do you mean? What do you want to say by that? That they're strong? If you're a nuclear state, you're not going to use them, are you? France, against whom? Exactly. Against Ukraine, Levin? Oh, no. Against Russia? What are you talking about? Okay, you want to build Ukraine's this when it doesn't have it. I got it. Let's move on. It's one of the important states of the European Union and Europe and the world in general, but it has no decision-making power, Levin. Don't you know that? Don't you know that? I don't think he's an idiot. He can't be. He's Levin. He's a weasel. He knows that France cannot do shit unless Washington and London says something. Those are the decision-making points, not Paris, not Berlin, and not Rome. Levin pretends he's dumb, or maybe he is. I don't know. But he ignores it. He said, France is strong. She should just take charge. Okay, let's move on. That's why even such seemingly hypocritical support on the part of Macron is also deemed support. What do you want him to do? Get in trouble with Russia? I'm sure you want, Levin. You got First World War, Levin. You got even the Second World War, Levin, in Europe. So they fought among one another, the Europeans. You want a third one now? Is that where we're going? Why do you mention nuclear weapons? What do you want France to do? Fight with Russia, and Russia with France, and Germany with Russia, and Russia with Germany, and maybe Italy with Russia, and Russia with Italy, and someone else is counting his money in a bazaar somewhere, if you know what I mean, right? And maybe building some more countries somewhere on this planet. How about that? Belfort Declaration, Mr. Levin. We know stuff, we know shit. You know what I mean? We know our shit. All right, and then let's go to Germany. Also applies to German Chancellor Olaf Scholz. No, it doesn't apply to German Olaf Scholz because he's guilty of the Second World War. Remember, his hands are tied around his thing and he can't move because you keep him all the time in the corner, blaming him, you know. That's guilt, 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 guilt. And Germany says, yes, 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 instead of saying, what? Grab him by the neck and smashing against the wall and say, get out of here, leave me alone. Let me fulfill my destiny. Beautiful. All right. So again, they're waiting. Of course they're waiting. What do you want them to do, Levin? I know what you want them to do. And by the way, Levin, why don't you talk to the Jewish state, and when they're nuclear, why don't they get involved? Why don't you ask that question? Why should only Germany and France be the ones that you're focusing on? Why don't you focus on Israel? Why Israel doesn't attack Russia? It's nuclear power after all, and it has what, the third, fourth army in the world as power? I think that's the estimate. They're even stronger than Germany. I guarantee you. Why? Because they use America all the time. So never like the laptop. Go, fetch. All right, thank you. Now that one. Fetch. Okay, thank you very much. Which one is next? Yeah. They couldn't figure it out yet with Iran because Russia is behind Iran. But look at the Middle East. Okay, that's a different conversation. Here, why don't Israel get involved? Why? Why not? Oh, they don't want their boys to die, right? Correct. Why would you? Oh, you don't want you to be zoomed in by Russia, but you're okay with the going to do that, right? It's fine. It's fine. I think it's something like that, actually. Partly, I think it's something like that. What, he wants a third world war in Europe? In Europe, world war. You know what I mean? In Europe, that's what this guy wants. Another one. Makes me sick, but nevertheless, he's right there, the Israeli Military Analyst. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.